Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so excited to have you all here. This is my favorite topic, energy. How do we move with energy? And I'm super grateful for all of you to be here because this is a topic that we all need to know. We all need to become masterful and empowered in our energy, in how we are impacting the world, and how the people and the places are impacting us and how to manage that. And the first step to be able to do that is to understand who are we fully, how are we made, what are we made of, and all things about our energy field, and not only, but the energy field of Gaia, of sentient beings, and of everything that is around us. So I welcome you in. I was looking at where you're all from, and I love that we have everywhere, the Southern Hemisphere, the Northern Hemisphere, Europe, and the US, and all where and everywhere. And I love that. I always enjoy that when we do these gatherings, we actually anchor in the light from being together right there where we are. So, right now, I love envisioning the globe being lit right there where each one of us is as we are bringing that spark of this next level of this awareness into this conversation. So I would love to ask you to close all other distractions around you. I love to work with quantum timing, and quantum timing is the directive from the universe to really pack in the time that we said, 1 hour, as much information as we want and we can without making it feel rushed. It's going to be an expansion of time to fit exactly what we need. It's Saturday. I know you probably have places to go and people to meet. It's family day. So I will keep it with as much valuable information in the hour that we determined. I I want to just share with you super briefly to make the most out of this hour. Why am I am doing this, and who am I to do this? So my whole story you can read on my website and in many places, YouTube, and so I'm not going to go into that. But yes, this aspect. I've been on this journey since I was 18. And I recently turned a wise 60-year-old woman. So that's more than 40 years. And I've trained in South America, North America, and Europe in the Eastern traditions. And I've had a very eclectic 40 years journey of receiving transmissions from masters and different ancient wisdom, which makes a lot of sense to me since I am born in Argentina, born and raised there. I lived in Italy for like 20 years, and by now I lived in the US in different timings, adding them up for like 12 years. And I've traveled all over the globe, almost all continents except Australia. So I am a citizen of the world and I'm a citizen of the galaxy. And so it makes sense for me to have had in this lifetime to remember all the things I learned in my past lifetimes and to carry this transmission, this frequency, these codes of this global wisdom, because it is a global wisdom. When you look at all the ancient wisdoms, they intersect so much. And I've studied energy healing with 7 different masters and traditions, familiars ones for you, curanderas in Guatemala, Navajos in America, the Queros in South America, and many more. Osho masters, and then I also receive directly from the divine and keep receiving from my divine team instructions of how to teach, for example, energy healing, do ancestral healing. And energy is something that is like second nature for me. I understand it with every cell of my being, and I have the beautiful task of help you understand it that way too. And this is part of what today is all about. And I would say when people ask, You, right? Like, what is your superpower? I would like to know. If you know it, please write it on the chat. I want to see who's here and what superpowers do you have. And one of my superpowers is definitely working with energy, understanding energy, and transmitting energy. And I do want to know, please, what are your superpowers? And to dive right in, I also want to say that this topic goes much, much more beyond what I can share in this hour. And I would love, 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 with your permission, to share something that I'm putting out for the next 3 months within this call when it's appropriate. Yes, do you have your okay? It's going to take a few minutes only. Thank you. So, yeah, so I would love to know, to like understand here, um, who, just raise your hand or give me an emoji, like, who feels and knows in your heart that you are an empath in this group here today? Who's an empath? Several of you. Okay. So I'm reading superpowers, undiscovered as of yet. Cool. Well, call them in. Resiliency. Yes, that is definitely a superpower. Keep putting them in there. And I want to know another thing. Would you say that, with respect to the people that are in your life and that you're familiar with, that you express emotions in a more intense way? Who would say that you have that? Some of you. Yeah. Okay. And many still wondering what the superpowers are. Very interesting. Love. I love that superpower. It is a superpower when we can tune into love regardless. Another thing I want to find out, have you been feeling lately and tuning into, like, are you aware of all the cosmic wild energies we've been on? Yeah, I love this. Yes, yeah, yeah. So you are tuned into that and you're aware that that's happening. Other superpowers: child development, parent education, herbalism, kindness. Yes, 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 yes. So, Jackie, I'd love to know, of all those, what is truly the superpower? These are all things that you do with mastery, but that doesn't mean there's your superpowers. That's an interesting thing. Yeah. Kindness. Yes, that is a superpower that you apply to all those other things. I love that. Yes. Thank you for that. It helped everybody understand. Yeah, so another thing I want to know, do you feel depleted after being with people or after being with others? Yeah. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Then what I'm going to share today is going to definitely support you. I'm feeling all kinds of stuff and feel off and tired. Yes, dear, we are going through some super big waves that are pushing us and stretching us all over the world. Well, I want to lay the foundation so that you can have a better understanding of why this is happening to you and how we are made. So, yeah, fatigue. Yes, yes, we are feeling fatigue. And yes, yes, yes. Okay, let's dive right in. I'd love for you to comment in the chat if there's something I'm saying you want me to address. And then I'm hoping we'll even have time to, like, raise your hand and ask a question if there's a question you want to ask. So let's go on foundational things, because then on top of that, I can build up the topic. And I do want to say, I know many of you here know a lot about the topics I'm going to share. And I want to ask you to keep that childlike wonder and curiosity and that the student mind, because sometimes, even though you know something very much, when you hear it told to you from a different perspective, or even a different person that uses slightly different words in a different moment of your time, suddenly you have new connections, new ahas, and it helps you go even deeper on something that you already know, but that there were those few nuggets that will support you even further. And I want to honor the fact that you are here. And if you're here, is because this information called to you. So let's start with the foundational agreement that we are more than the eye can see. We are flesh and bone, and even flesh and bone is energy, moving at a very slow frequency, and therefore it looks as if it's solid. It looks as if this rattle is solid, when in reality it's not. And around our bodies, we really are carrying several other subtle bodies. Subtle because they're made of subtle energies. And those of you who can see with your third eye or can perceive or know, you probably feel them, and you may know or not know all the differentiations that there are. There are definitely 7 bodies around us, and I will show you an image, because an image speaks more than 1,000 words. But what's important about this, before I show you the image, is that immediately surrounding the physical body, there's a etheric body, it's called, and it's about this distance from the skin, and it follows the shape of the body. And then surrounding that, there's another body known as the third body, and it expands. It's like an egg, and it expands up to 2 or 3 meters, or up to 12 feet or so. And then around that is what's known as the mental body, which is very expansive. It's like an egg surround us, and it can expand to infinity, really. And this fourth body is very important. I'm going to tell you more about it today. And then beyond that one, there's 3 more bodies that are cosmic and nirvanic and connect us, and galactic and connect us to all of the dimensions. And in this level of evolution of Earth, we really are not able to work with those other 3 bodies consciously, even though we are connected and feel and receive from the cosmos and from the universe information through them. With regards to all these bodies that I was telling you about, they also relate to a different element. The physical body, this one relates to the element of earth. Sounds natural. And then the one right above relates to the element of water. It has to do with the emotions. It's also known as the emotional body. And it's where trauma resides. All the trauma we lived through in our lives is in that body. Then there's the third body, which is of the element of fire, and it's magnetic, and it attracts and repels those people to your life that naturally you don't feel that thing, or you feel attracted to. And then the fourth body, which is the mental body, which has this odd name because it's called mental, yet it's birthed in the heart. So I always wonder, right? And when I asked, why is it called a mental body? I was told because it is that from that body that expands, from where we connect with the cosmic intelligence and with the collective unconscious, and through which the collective unconscious connects with us. Now we'll share more in a moment about that. And many of you may be familiar with the chakra system. There's many systems of energy, but there is like an agreed foundational wisdom around the world in all of the cultures that there are centers of energy in our body, and that there are 108, but there's 7 main ones that go along our spinal cord. And these 7 energetic bodies actually exist also in these etheric bodies, or etheric, astral, mental, and in all the energy bodies. So let me show you a few images. Let me grab them. Yes, there they are, because I think that that will be of great help to you to understand further. Share, hold on, because yeah, there we go. Okay, so can you all see this image? Okay, so this one, I like it a lot because it's clear and simple. I have another one that's more complicated that I'm also going to share with you. This one is a figure showing to the front, and you can see this man in the physical body. This little orange hue here is what I was talking to you about, the emotional body, and you can see it follows exactly the shape of the body. And then the other ones surrounding it become more of an egg-like shape. The colors, they don't reflect what I'm trying to say. Normally the colors are, yes, orange on this one, then this one is yellow, and then the heart, the mental body is green, a very light green. So let me show you this one. I love this one because it's sideways and you can really see the chakras, how they manifest in all of the different egg-like shapes. And you can see how the crown, which is the chakra that is at the very top, chakra in Sanskrit means wheel. So these are wheels of energy. And you can see the one at the top goes up and the one from the root, from the perineum, goes down. And all the other ones have a receiving and an emitting. So the receiving in the back, the emitting in the front, even though truly they both emit and receive. But in reality, this is in our back and we receive from there and we emit more consciously from the front. And these two emit and receive from the same. It goes back up and forth. So this image is what I was saying. It's a little bit more complex, and it does show in these wave forms like the galactic and cosmic bodies that I was telling you about. But I like showing these images because I believe that they give a good idea of what I'm trying to explain in a very novel way, and it helps you comprehend what I'm talking about. So what does that have to do with what we were saying about how we relate to energy? So oh, I'm glad that you found it helpful, the imagery. Thank you for that feedback. Yes. So the truth is that Gaia, our planet, she has a subtle energy body, etheric body. And the trees have etheric bodies, and the animals have etheric bodies, and all of the sentient beings, plants, have etheric bodies. Everything that exists in this planet has what you see with the physical eyes, and we have the illusion that that's all there is. And in reality, there is a lot more that if we can see with the third eye, then we know. And if we can't, I'm telling you. So for now, you can borrow my trust in the fact that this is how it is. But what's super important, first explanation about this, is that we really, when we walk around, we carry this balloon, right? So we think we're walking in our body, and instead we're having this big balloon that's going with us everywhere. And so when we're near people, our balloons touch. And so even if we don't want, we kind of go, and there's information passing as our balloons touch. So when we live no, let me backtrack for a moment. So when we sleep, in particular, and we like relax, these bodies expand even further. So, for example, the third body, the one that I was telling you is the magnetic body, is the one who has ever not been in a car driving alone, thinking you are the king or queen of the world because you're occupying the whole car with your energy. And when somebody comes clear or near you, you're like, what do they think they're doing? Because you're like the whole car. That's your third body, right? I love that you're laughing because that's how it works. That's our third body. When we are in the car, it expands to fit the whole body of the car. And it is that same that same elasticity that happens when you meet somebody and you stand, and then the person comes a little bit too close to you, and you're like, oh, let's take a step backwards. And some people do this dance where they come close and you step backwards. And there's different cultures that are familiar and feel comfortable with different distances of this third body. For example, for me, I grew up in Argentina where there is very low population density, very little population for the amount of square foot or square kilometers in the country. And so we're used to standing quite far. And the first time I visited Italy, I was 21. And I remember so clearly we visited this town, which is a dream of a town called Amalfi. If you've ever been, you know what I'm talking about. And it's tiny and it's set on a cliff, and people are packed, and kids were playing ball like by the side of another kid, and I was feeling like I was going to drown. People were all too near me. I wasn't used to to not having that space. My space was being super invaded. I had to contract in. That is that third body that I'm talking about. The fourth body, which is the mental body instead, is so much to say. You have to know I taught this in like year-long programs, okay? So I'm like packing a pack of information for you to have the most you can. But the mental body is also the one that has the coherence with the toroid that surrounds us. And you may have heard by now, because it's out there even scientifically, that the heart is 60.4%, the 0.4 is particularly important, percent more powerful than the brain in manifestation energy, in sending out information to the field. And how we do this is that normally this heart, this mental body that has the element of air, is very, very subtle. If you work with energy and you heal somebody, you will notice it's like very, very subtle, barely you can feel it. Normally is expanded about 2 to 3 feet beyond our physical body. If we're comfortable, if we're in our home, if we're with people we love, it can be clearly 3, even 4 feet, a meter, 0.2 for those who do the metric system. And when we go out to the world, all our bodies naturally shrink. It's like this happens with the innate intelligence of our bodies. We don't need to necessarily obligate this to happen. It just happens. We can also with our minds do it. If we're in a bus or a train, any public transport system, and we feel everybody on our sides, we kind of contract naturally because it's like a protection mechanism. So I was going somewhere with this. Yes, so the mental body we can use consciously to envelop someone or places with love, and unconsciously it's constantly feeding and receiving energy from the field being made of everything that makes Earth, and the collective unconscious, which is the field of all thoughts of all humanity. So we have millions of thoughts in a day, and they're going into this field, and we are just informing and knowing what's happening in this field. Regardless, this is a mechanism that is in place because we are in a human body experiencing the life on Earth. This just is the way that happens. That's why it's so important to understand this, because now let me tell you, when you go to sleep, naturally you relax and the bodies expand. It's just the way it happens during sleep time. So imagine, and many of you don't need to imagine, many of you already are in this situation. You live in an apartment building. I used to live this way in Argentina with my mom, in an apartment building where you share walls with somebody else. There's your bedroom, that's the end of your house, and on the other side there's another wall of another bedroom, and you go to sleep. You understand what happens, right? The energy bodies blend. And you don't even know this person on the other side. You don't know what they're going through, what's happening to them, but you're just blending during the night, and you wake up in the morning and you may feel super wonky and you don't understand why. And that's because probably you're carrying something that was informed to you through this other person that has nothing to do with you. So in cities, in large cities and dwellings, this is happening continuously. If you're lucky and you live in a house with a lot of space from the walls of the house, then this may be happening only within the people in the house, which normally are people you love, family. And so even though it's still happening and it's not ideal, but it's better because there's a love connection and there's agreement of an exchange of energy just because the love connection exists in a family. You're picking up what I'm putting down. This is very important. Yeah, cool. So one of the questions I had written in the page where I was inviting to this course was, is all energy the same? And just having explained what I have explained, what would you say? Is all energy the same? Heck no, right? It's not. because everybody is carrying whatever they're carrying. And on top of everything, we have trees, and the energies of trees is not the same as the energies of another human. So, look, one thing that, and why I'm being guided to teach this now is so, so important, is because in this time of the ascension, it's an amazing time because we as humans can build our own unique, powerful, strong connection with the divine source directly. We don't need priests, we don't need rabbis, we don't need anybody. We don't need a guru, we don't need anybody. We can do it ourselves. But we have to learn how to do it, and we have to learn how to trust that information that comes. We have to learn how to differentiate the voice of our mind from that voice of the whispers of the wisdom of the world, of the universe, creator, call it whatever you want. Great mother, great father, there's infinite names for that. And there is a lot of wonky energy out there happening. And as the dismantling of the old paradigms of submission of all levels, I'm not going to go there, just like big title, are happening now, there is contrast. The earth, being a third dimensional existence, has duality as the nature of it, 1 and 2. When we reach 3, when we understand 3, when we master 3, that's why 333 is such an important number, then we're ready to ascend to the next level. 3 is love. 1 and 2, and then 3 encompasses everything. So the truth is that the nature on earth is the contrast. We're constantly in the contrast, the yin and the yang, the black and the white, and the dark and the light, and in contrast. And so as there is more light, and as we're awakening, and as we're bringing a lot more light into our own lives, there's going to be a lot more darkness. It's just the way it is. It's balancing out. And that's why it's so important that you understand how you connect and communicate with everything that is around it, and to not go about it in an unconscious way, in a sleepy kind of way, but to be very eyes wide open about what you do with your energy, and how your energy connects and is connected by others. So, example, and what can you do about it, right? So, time of the pandemic, I was remembering this the other day as I was preparing the course. So I'm aware, I have tools. I've been on this path at the time of the pandemic, 39 plus years, a lot of time, okay? Still, we finally can go out and do shopping. I got stuck in the US, for those of you curious. My husband and the son that was living in our house, I have two sons, but one was already living alone. We're stuck in Italy, and I was stuck here, and I couldn't go back to them. So thankfully I was at a beautiful friend's house. Lovingly, she hosted me. So I was in her house, and suddenly we can go out and do shopping for groceries. So I go out, and you guys, sometimes, right? I go out naively, like, hello, Shakti, you know this stuff. And I went out to the grocery store, like, no problem, right? And I enter the grocery store, and I am super open. I'm a full-time open channel. Of course, I master that. I'm an empath, big time. I go into the grocery store, and I get like an attack, a panic attack. And because now I know, I learned to differentiate what is mine and what is not mine, I immediately knew that what I was having wasn't my panic. I just went into a field that was filled with people that were panicking and filled with fear. And I naively went into the den of the sharks without protection and without doing anything. And I got all of it. And I'm like, the minute it was happening, I'm like, oh my gosh. So, okay, I have the tools. So I quickly went out, went to my home where I was staying, and started doing what I know how to do, which is clearing, grounding, protecting, and working with my field, and then also connecting with the source of love and sending love to all of these people in fear. That was a lot of the work I did through the pandemic. Love really supports and helps when people are in fear. Fear is about trauma. People are in fear, fear of dying, fear of getting sick, fear of everything that they are fearful about. So this happens to the best of us, no matter how much we know. It's just life, right? We go, and plus the pandemic, such an unreal, un everything, right? So, well, I learned my lesson, trust me. And from then on, whenever I went out, I was very conscious about what I was doing. But I'm bringing this exaggerated example because without that exaggeration, that's still what's happening to us every day today. We go out and we pick up the energy that's out there. And when we go to the grocery store, when we go shopping, this happens. So here's the other layer why many of you may be feeling exhausted or tired or the things you shared. It's because not being aware of how our energy field works and not having the tools to master that, what happens is that there are there are people that naturally know how to hook and I don't mean hook as in hooks, like connect and naturally take energy from you. They don't do it because they are mean or they don't do it because you are weak. It's just normally, for example, many of us here, I know, but many of us in the world now that are in this spiritual journey of awakening have lifetimes of having been healers in any way, healers, educators, and we have a willingness to help others. We have a special empathy when we see people suffering and struggling, and we naturally lean into this. And so energetically, this happens too. When there are people that are needing and they're kind of empty, you naturally give them that energy. So these bodies of light that I was explaining to you about, they, yeah, they're like eggs of light, but there's a little caveat to that. And is that each one of us, through the experiences of our lives and through what we've been through, we've created strategies of survival, and some of us have done more healing or less healing in terms of our traumatic experience of childhood. And our bodies have certain aspects that show these wonky situations in our life. And they're like a magnet of positive and negative. And so when another person comes with the opposite, positive and negative, just like a magnet, they're attracted to each other. In a big way, what happens here is when you have codependent trauma and you have the victim and the perpetrator, these people will meet. And that's why these people, and maybe this has been your experience, it certainly was mine until I healed that, keep meeting the perpetrator so you can keep being the victim. That's part of your energetic field. Your body is informing of this to the universe. So codependent situations, if you have them in your life, they are held in your system by an energetic imprint, like a drawing in your energy field. So similarly with something much easier, which is what I was explaining about the draining of your energy field. If you have this imprinting of being a giver, a lover, a mom, a caretaker, a healer, an educator, or any of these imprintings that are a forward movement leaning into help kind of energetic, the people that have the victim greed, I need kind of energetic, are naturally going to suck into your energy because it's just the way it works. Is the energy flows that way, and for them it flows that way. And so that's going to happen. So if you're going about this in a unconscious way in the world, then when you go into a place where there's a lot of people, you're going to feel drained because just naturally this is going to happen. So that's why it's so important to learn the techniques on how to learn how to pass the energy through you so that it doesn't get stuck in you. And the reason I'm saying that as opposed to shielding, which is also a great technique, and there's many different ones, is because sometimes when the wave of energy from outside is so big, because you may be in places where there's lots of people, even a grocery store that has many people, but a church even, or a stadium, or a concert, or a group, or even a family dinner at Christmas when you get all the family that you never see throughout the year, just naturally the shielding won't help because there's too much energy and we cannot hold a tsunami wave of energy. So then other tools are needed. We need to understand how to receive it and not be stuck with it and pass it through and let it go. And there's techniques for all these things. So this is fundamental for you to understand. The other thing, which is beautiful, is that you have an antidote built in the earth, on the earth, which is nature. It's a built-in antidote. Whenever you're having a problem, even if you don't have any tools, just go outside, go to a park. And if you live in places where you have beaches and mountains and rivers and creeks and lakes, stick your feet in there, stick them in the sand, in the creeks, in the lakes. And if you have been following me, if you're not new to me, you will have seen pictures of me in pure winter with my feet in the frozen creeks, and it's just so amazing to do. But more so, let me tell you a secret. You listening? So our bodies, all of it, even the physical aspects, the cells and the DNA, the actual DNA of our bodies. And again, super long conversation, so I'm going to like give a snippet, but something really important for you to know. Have been going through an upgrading or an up-leveling, or let's use another word, a modification to support the new frequencies in which we live in this earth at this time. The actual frequencies on earth, in all of the etheric bodies of earth, the actual light codes that we receive from the sun, from the stars, all of these energetic frequencies have been changing as earth goes through ascension, and also as the evolution of the cosmos happens naturally. The sun doesn't have the same chemical composition as it had 70 years ago, and so on and so forth. And it is also by design. And so these new codes that come, like the light of the sun and touch our skin, literally impact our DNAs, okay? So when you go out in nature, you are placing yourself in a way so that you may receive these codes and you may be aided by these upgrades or these modifications. And again, there's so much to say about this, but the gist and the importance of this is that prior to 2012, the earth, there was a lot of density. Even the techniques of healing that were used in those days were pertaining to that density. And then higher frequencies started arriving to earth, frequencies that we cannot hear with the regular ear. We can hear with the inside third eye and third ear, have been coming to earth to support us. And since we are frequency, we can be modified by frequency. And when we go out in nature, we are availing ourselves just by being in a space where we get in touch with the subtle bodies of trees that are continuously in love mode. And the trees have the roots all connected like a mycelium network. And we have roots. We have roots made of etheric field of our energy in this body, the one with all the eggs of life, of light, has roots connected to the core of Mother Earth and have roots connected directly up to the point of inception, the point where the soul came in. We literally are this like balloon floating that has these two roots and that are holding us in alignment where we are. And so we are truly connected to the Mother Earth, and through it, through the trees and through the animals that have roots, and through every sentient being has roots. So when we go outside in nature, that is huge. Without needing to learn even anything else, that's a resource that's available to everybody and that can support you if you're feeling walky, if you're feeling wonky, if you're feeling out of sorts. Nature really, really can support you, and you need to connect. Don't use the rubber shoes of running, or because those rubber shoes won't let you connect, right? If you have like leather shoes, that's okay. Leather is porous, it can connect you, but better just bare feet. Barefoot on the earth, on the ground, on the water. It's amazing. A few minutes just will uplift you like incredible. You'll come home and you'll be another person. Now, there's another very important thing, and is this. When, so, addiction affects the energy field and it creates openings, literally as if you have a balloon and you like get a tear on a balloon and then it'll start deflating from that tear. That's exactly what happens with our energy field. We have tears, and through those tears, energy can come in that we don't want to come in because it doesn't, you're not fully isolated and protected. And also our own energy goes out. Trauma that's unresolved, that is very prominent in your life, very prominent in your life, that you're still grieving through it and not being able to move out of it, creates a tear in your energy field. So, for example, another experience I had this summer is that I visited a very dear friend of mine. Give me a second. And I didn't know that this dear, dear friend had become profoundly alcoholic. It pains me even to think about it. And being in that house with a person that was profoundly alcoholic required that I used all my tools continuously, because naturally the alcoholic would suck my energy just because I love this person and this person is in this death spiral. So if you have people in your life that you love that are addicted to drugs, to alcohol, to food, to anything, you have addiction near you, be aware that this kind of codependent energetic exchange may be happening, and you can choose to have it not happen. And actually, the more you're aware of that, and the more you can stand and have healthy boundaries and keep that sovereignty point, the more you can help the person, because then you help the person through clear conversation, clear understanding, and returning the power to the person. Because a person that is in the throes of addiction or in the throes of any kind of codependency has lost their power. They're exchanging the power with the other person. Yeah. Wow. So much, right? So there's another thing happening, and is that many people lately, and that's why I was guided to do this and to really offer this extra teaching that I want to share with you about, is that so many of you are experiencing any of these things, and I'd love to know who is. A continuous lack of focus, continuous lack of focus, being pulled in a million directions and feeling your energy drain continuously. And yeah, hands up for one already. Being attacked during the night, especially, yeah, raising hands. Feeling that a little bit hopeless for the future, or anxiety. Yeah. So all of these things, yeah, and they're not all of it for all of us, right? There are different ways in which that shows up for us. And for example, maybe because you're going through these moments, you've been needing to numb yourself more than other times, maybe at night playing games on the phone for longer than you should, or binge watching movies, or these are all just manifestations of an uncomfortableness, of an inability to fully be in your power, in your purpose, in this life aliveness, right? Who Another one is a big one. Who has fuzzy mind often? Like, yeah, yeah. So that is all part of this, um, of all these energies that are going on right now that have to do with this. Um, we'll let you ask the question soon, Alejandro. Um, of all these energies coming and going. And it is for this that, for example, other people, I had a session with a person that was their first session, and they said, "Oh, I'm so happy. My house was having all kinds of all the things we were discussing." And he said, "Oh, I'm so happy. I finally smudged. But actually, it was great smudging, but I didn't really feel much of a difference." And so I said, "Well, tell me how you smudged." So he's telling me how he smudged, and he didn't do like five key things that you need to do when you smudge. And I said, "Well, you didn't do this, you didn't do this, you didn't do this, you did," and he was like wide-eyed like this. And I'm like, "I didn't know you had to do all of that." And it's like, yes, you have to do all of that. Otherwise it doesn't work. And so many of you may be finding that you have um, tools, and that you're applying the tools, but the tools are not working. And it's because potentially you're missing some pieces that are fundamental to the work you're doing. Somebody's asking, what is a fuzzy mind? A fuzzy mind is a mind where you're like, your head is in the cloud all the time, like in a fuzz, like it's not super clear, not that focused mind that allows you to work. So not clear thinking, somebody says, yeah, that's a fuzzy mind. So it is because of this that I was guided to create this 3-month course. It's going to happen on Saturdays, 2 Saturdays a month, May, June, and July, to teach you all of this foundational information, how to clear yourself, how to clear rooms, how to protect, and a lot of foundational rituals of the sacred wisdom of all times that are um, that go across borders um, in all traditions. So this sacred wisdom of all times that goes across all traditions is really, they have these common threads. And so that's what I will be sharing with you, so that you can truly know not just how to clear yourself, places, and enclaves, but also how to protect yourself, your home, your loved ones, to know who you're connecting with. This is a big one I forgot to mention. This is a big one, I need to mention it. Many of you are really good already into heading up and into the multidimensionalities, connecting with beings of love and light. But many of you are doing this not knowing how to open and close that connection in a safe way. And many of you, unbeknownst to you, are leaving that door open, and then all kinds of beings of lower energies come through that opening. And I like to use this example. Many have told me it's such a good example. Let's say you're in your home and it's an amazing moonlight and starlight night. And so you go out, and you're watching this beautiful sky, and then you come home and you forget to close the door. And so then anybody can come through the door. And somebody here is saying something super important. We may get sloppy with what we know, with what is an important step, right? Yeah, that's true. We may think we know, and when we haven't done it quite all of it, we have forgotten some of the things. And so this 3-month path is to help you all of that, to claim those boundaries, to understand if you may have energy leaks, how to claim those boundaries and close those leaks, how to be aware of who you're connecting with and how you're opening the sacred space, and how it is that you must close it, and how to be certain who you're connecting with. Because this is the other thing. So many beings say they're of the light and they're not. And this is how it is. Deception. And overall, it's to trust your own individual connection with the divine. It's a journey of empowerment so you can have the tools to be fully empowered. And it's foundational. Everything else and anything else you want to do, you can do when you have these foundational tools. I would love to have you in this course. It's called The Ways of Sacred Wisdom. And I was called to call it that way because it is the sacred wisdom, like I was saying, of all paths, not just one path. It's truly common to all paths. And you will learn tools and you will experience what I'm talking about. It's not just going to be ideas or like today a conversation. It's going to be 2-hour calls twice a month, 3 months, and you're going to get to know and experience and have these new tools. This information, the link is going out in the email with a replay, so you can click on that and learn more about it. I've done a page with a lot of information there, more than I normally do, and you can always reach to me with my email and ask me questions if you're doubting about signing up for this course. So I would really, really love to have you in it, and I would really love to have you not doubt, but ask me if you have questions about if is this for me or not, because this is truly, it's done in a way that I was guided to do it in this way. No matter where you are, you may be an advanced student already, or you may be a newbie, and you will get what you need regardless of where you are in the journey. And that's the whole point, because it's foundational. So, last thing, question, Alejandro, are you still here? Yes. Do you want to ask your question? Do you want to unmute yourself? There.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, you first. Anything? Thank you. Can you hear me? Can
Yes,
you
I'm
hear
I'm putting louder.
me? Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, thank you. Well, my question is like when you start to feel like the environment is that your ex energy is a little crack or else, or what it is kind of the guidance to well, I went recently to having ayahuasca, and I my naturally energy is like healer, and like the ayahuasca, the plant sent me to mainly clean my house, like mean keep clean, because if I am a healer, I am a receiver, and
Yes.
I have to just release all
Big.
that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let me tell you, you're bringing up two humongous things. So I'm glad you're asking this question. The first one is for those of you called to do peyote, ayahuasca, or any of these journeys. Some guides that do this are really truly amazing, but others are more marketing and are wanting you to cut corners. You cannot cut corners. You need to have the foundations. I don't know who you went to, and that's not important. I'm just giving you this information. And part of this course I'm offering is foundational, like all of the tools you need, regardless of how far and high you can journey. Yes, as a healer, super important what you just said. As a healer, you bring people into your studio or healership, even via Zoom, you're bringing people into where you are. So when you're bringing people in, first, you must clear the place so that people come into a space that is clear and is not with other energies that maybe from people that passed before, or even your own, like really aligned and clear and protect. And then After the session, you as a healer must clear, and you must clear the space. And sometimes the whole house, it depends. Normally it's okay with the space, but absolutely yes. I have experience with um I've been formed to heal some nasty attacks and attachments. That's part of what I do, to the level of almost exorcism. I don't like to do it. I don't do it often. I take a lot of money to do that because it's super hard. But without going to that extreme, when those type of works are done, I clear the whole house, the land, not just the room, because it's very important to always operate within a space of integrity. And by integrity, I mean not just our integrity of what we're doing, knowing that we're doing it in service, but of the energy that we are inviting people into and from which we are bringing people out to. So that's a super, super important question. I'm so glad you asked it. Yeah, very important. And a quick addressing of what I said, of this ayahuasca journeys and all of that. There are some true wonderful masters of ancient wisdom that carry that plant medicine, to offer it with wisdom, that know how to create the right container for people to have the right experiences and to support them to integrate the experience afterwards. And there are many that not are not doing that, and they're abusing the plant, and they're inviting people to cut corners. And many people, unbeknownst to them, because they you don't know what you don't know, have these crazy experiences that they're not ready to integrate or interpret and hold in their lives, and they actually become more lost than they were before and more prone to all these energy attacks that I was saying. So as you have friends that may be asking you about, not just you, Alejandro, but others, it's like, hey, should I do this? Like, bear this in mind, right? Use your wisdom when you advise them on what's for their highest and best. So it's the time, it's the hour. But if you have questions and you want to stay and ask me questions, I'm happy to stay on a little bit longer. For those of you who need to jump off, what I wanted to share with you, what I was important for you to know, answering all the questions I promised that you would have answers for, I did. And I do invite you to join me in the ways of sacred wisdom. It's going to be super powerful. Of course, you're going to keep the materials for life. And I've made it super, super affordable. It's 111 today and 122 every month for 2 months, or 333 today, or any other. There's like so many ways to pay in multiple ways. It's super, super affordable. It's in service. And if you want to join me, you feel inclined, I'd love for you to have you there. So that's all for this call. And if you have questions and want to stay off and you have to jump off, I honor that. If you want to stay on and ask some questions, raise your hand, and I'm happy to stay on a little bit longer and answer the questions. Doesn't sound or doesn't look like you have questions. So that's all for today. I'm very grateful for you being here. I'm very grateful for you putting your energy forth. It's always this way. It's like double the people that sign up, and then half of you are holding the space so the transmission can come through. And thank you so much. This was very important for me. I will certainly be doing this course. Thank you for your time. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Love you. The course sounds wonderful. Thank you, Shakti. Thanks so much. Thank you all. It was wonderful. I honor your path wherever you are. Thank you for being you and doing what you're here to do. Bye.